Thames River has the power to mobilize Londoners and catalyze community change. That was a statement made by Martha Powell of the London Community Foundation when she talked about the Back to the River RFP that resulted in some wonderful proposals on how we can enhance the value for recreation and cultural purposes of the forks of the Thames. But you can't do that unless you've got a dam in Springbank Park to ensure that the elevation of water at the forks remains constant, to allow the very kinds of things that are envisioned in the Back to the London plan. So we urge London City Council to make the right choice. Allow the river to be seen as the important economic engine that it was, and the recreational and natural resource and venue for pursuits for tens of thousands of Londoners in Springbank Park as it was until about the year 2000. The Heritage River was created because of its cultural and its recreational values. The Heritage River program, sponsored by Parks Canada and adopted by our province and our city, created a river that recognized its recreational value because of the activity that was taking place on it between Springbank and the Forks. Transformational change took place in the 1970s. There was a magical enhancement of the river when the London Canoe Club was conceived as an idea by Joe McManus and others. People came together and decided that it was time that London had a recreational center in which people who row and people who paddle and people who compete could meet together and form a club. That club essentially became a club which catered to many different forms of recreational and competitive pursuits on the river. There was the regatta that took place in 1974 at the place where the Thames River would afford a site for the London Canoe Club. The city generously gave the property to that small group of people who became its first members of the board. Money was raised and the Canoe Club became a reality. It wasn't long after that the Rowing Club joined in, and that building became the center of activity for both scullers and paddlers. And then came the interest of the dragon boaters who brought in their regattas and their pageants. And then there was the interest of the competitive flatwater paddlers. These are the people that were led by Dr. Doug Bocking and his kids who wanted to connect with the competitive sport that was operating primarily out of Eastern Ontario and Toronto. And London all of a sudden had a place to play in that competitive world of C1s and C2s and C4s and war canoe races. We need to salute our City Council in its pledge to restore the dam with environmentally secure operational policies.
The Thames River was designated as a Canadian Heritage River in 1999. Back in 1984, the Government of Canada, along with the provinces and the territories, had decided to recognize some of the outstanding Canadian rivers by designating them as Canadian Heritage Rivers. The first one that was designated was the French River, and since then there have been over 100 rivers designated. The Grand River was designated just before the Thames River. In order to achieve designation of the river as a heritage river, it's based on three criteria. The first is the human, the second is the natural heritage, and the third is the recreational value of the river. The natural heritage of the Thames River is unique because it lies completely in the Carolinian zone and houses many unusual species of birds, mammals, flowers, and trees, and some that exist only in the Thames watershed and nowhere else in Canada. So the Thames is unique in that regard, and the section of the Thames from the Forks to the dam in Springbank is an important part of that designation. The second, the cultural and human heritage of the river is important, and it goes back some 12,000 years when the Laurentide Glacier melted and gradually left the Thames as a was a glacial spill, and the Thames River now comprises the two main branches, the north and south, that meet at the forks of the Thames in London and empty out into the Lake St. Clair, west of London. Around the 1600s, the Attawapiskat tribe camped and fished along the river. In the 1700s, it was used as a fur trade route by the French and used by the native tribes for fishing and hunting. The other criteria that I mentioned was the recreational value of the river, and the proportion of the Thames from the forks to the Springbank Dam was a wonderful location for recreational boating, and the existing clubhouse that was built and named the Joe McManus Canoeing and Rowing Facility. When the dam was being repaired, the Canoe Club had some 2,000 members. There's fishing on this stretch of the river, and some 80 species of fish have been identified in the Thames River. So recreation value of the river was extremely important, and it's unfortunate that without the dam in its springbank, the water levels don't allow for any sustained canoeing or rowing. The rowing club has had to move to Fanshawe Lake for their activities.
Londoners have been boating here basically since London started. You know, they used to have really large boats that came all the way up to the forks and down, of course, for shipping. It's a part of what makes London what it is. And what's happened in the last 10 years is just so sad. It's just a neglected, it's you know, the best analogy I can come up with is that it's like an old house that the landlord really wants to, you know, tear down, but the city, it's got a heritage designation, and so he just neglects it until it gets to a point where, you know, basically it falls in on itself. That's what the river looks like these days. It's just sad. So one of the points that keeps getting brought up is the actual water quality, and an argument being made that somehow, if the dam isn't in, the water quality is going to be magically improved. And really, truly, that's, again, it's not. There's no fact to that. First of all, when the dam is in, by all accounts, the turnover in the water behind the dam happens about every 24 to 48 hours, depending on the flow. Various things coming into the Thames, and a lot of them are pooling in Fanshawe Lake, unfortunately, but that's a topic for another day. But the quality of the water is really a key point here. And if you want people to be interested and involved and to be thinking about new ways of making sure that the water is cleaner, then you need them to have a way of seeing the effects of what they're doing. And the way to do that is to provide them with an opportunity to get out on the river and to see the difference. We've come a long way towards cleaning up the water already.
People were on boats in the Thames River. They were fishing from the boats. They were canoeing, kayaking, and paddling, rowing. And there were many spiny soft-shelled turtles in the river. It's to be hoped that soon the dam can repair so all in London can use this outstanding waterway. This use is great value for our community. When open, all families and individuals have a healthy opportunity for safe fishing, paddling, kayaking, rowing, and motorboating. Elementary kids, high school students use the canoeing and rowing facilities in the city here. The central location meant for close transportation for all schools. Free instructions were given by volunteers like Bill Chipperfield, Jack Foote, Kyler Hauk, Bob Ramsey, and this included how to handle canoes, water safety, how to help others who may be in trouble, rescue methods, paddling skills, and strokes. When on the water, the kids had the opportunity to appreciate nature and value the river. They often saw many types of turtles, ducks, herons, and other wildlife. Navigating down the middle of the river in October, they were surrounded by nature, including the beauty of the fall colors on the trees. And these weren't just one-time visits, but there was often like a 3-day, 3-time course that they took. At least one school used the experiences to prepare for camping and canoeing trips up north. At the Canoeing and Rowing Club, summer camps programs were provided for children. The Dragon Boat Club used the facilities here. The London Boys and Girls Club used the facilities. Having the use of the Thames River in town gives all citizens access to a recreation that is not always available or easily available at Lake Fanshawe. Citizens can walk, bike, and bus to the Wonderland Road boathouses and can use the docks at no charge. Entry fee to Fanshawe is $13 for a vehicle day pass, $13 additional for motor and sailboats. Canoe and kayak rentals start at $30. At times, the lake can be covered in unhealthy, toxic, blue-green slime when there are algae blooms. Events hosted at the boathouse brought many visitors from Ontario, Quebec, and USA to London. The head of the Thames race in the fall one year brought 1,200 competitors, plus their coaches and supporters. These people came from Illinois, Michigan, and New York, and in Ontario from Windsor to Ottawa.
Well, today we're just walking by, and I met this family, and they were coming down to the London Canoe Club and Rowing Club, and we'd like to hear your opinion of the state of the Thames and what you're up to, Aiden.
Okay. So at my school, I'm going to join the rowing team. I do a lot of sports that are like around water, and I really like to, I like to sail, and I also want to become a rower. I'm going to hopefully be rowing at Fanshawe and here too. Yeah.
Great. And how about Mom? What did you think of the river?
So we moved here about 10 years ago from the UK, where there's a lot of water plays a big part in the UK, whether it's rivers or lakes or the ocean, really. But when we moved here, we were sort of disappointed that there wasn't more community, not parks, but community involvement, like restaurants and other things around the river, more going on in the river. You can canoe it, but only at a certain time of the year because otherwise it's too shallow. So it was pretty disappointing because we tried to do it we did it early in the spring, but then we tried again in the summer to do it, and unfortunately we couldn't do it. It was too shallow, so we had to portage 90% of the way.
Yeah.
So that was kind of disappointing because it seems like it would be beautiful and you could do more things if it was a little bit deeper.
That's great. Well, congratulations, Aiden, and you're the new future for
Yeah.
the rowers, the canoers, and sailors. Thanks very much for your opinion.
You know, and when we're seeing that across, not only in Ontario, not only in Canada, but across North America, amphibian and reptile declines are phenomenal, and it's unfortunate, but...
Okay, so you're based, and that'd be through chemical mostly, eh?
No.
Habitat loss?
Habitat loss, road mortality, illegal collection. There's a huge number of stressors and threats to these species. A lot of turtle species, landing spotted, painted snapping turtles, a lot of those get hit on roads, and that's a huge source of mortality. However, soft shells don't normally cross roads, and we're finding that one of the main problems is inability of the eggs and hatchlings to reach adulthood. So that's why we're targeting eggs and hatchlings for this species. And part of the reason is flooding nest sites, higher abundance of poaching, higher abundance of poaching and also higher abundance of predators because of agricultural crops, garbage, loose high raccoon and coyote and fox populations, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if all that didn't do them in, we also have the problem of invasive plant species that overtake the nest sites. Probably some down around here, but Japanese hops is one of the worst ones in this area, and it will completely overtake the shade nesting site by the end of the season. Yeah, so there's some up, I'm sure up around here somewhere, but completely overtakes these sites. So we've weeded all these nesting areas and tried to get those plants out.
A lot of work, and on an average, year, how many do you hatch and release?
It depends on the year. Last year we released 1,870 baby spiny softshell turtles.
Wow.
Phenomenal year.
What we've seen in the last 11 years, the people say it's running free. It's never ran free since we've had Fanshawe Dam put up and Wildwood. We need those dams. There's no doubt about it. However, what we're doing is, I like to use the term, the solution to pollution is not dilution. Because over the years we've seen that green-blue algae, which is a very toxic algae, has been growing in Lake Fanshawe at alarming rates, and the Upper Thames is in control of. And actually, it's not their fault. It's agriculture. It's cities that can't handle their sewage when it rains. But London is progressing. It's a lot better, trust me, a lot better than it was years ago. Even when the dam is up, it's still a lot better. We've seen Toledo, Ohio, a couple of years ago. They actually had to shut down their water intake for 3 days because of the green-blue algae on Lake Erie. Lake Erie is the shallowest of our lakes. It heats up. The Thames is not a cold water river. It is a warm water river. The species that are in there have adjusted to warm water. Losing a lot on the Thames. There's been issues of, well, there's E. coli when you have the dam up. There's E. coli in Fanshawe tremendously. There's E. coli in Springbank. There's E. coli in Port Stanley, Grand Bend. Every area has E. coli. It's just common sense that you don't drink the water, you don't swim in it. We've got bald eagles that are nesting on the Thames, which we've never ever had before. And unfortunately, those birds still are not reaching their full potential, as they're dying still at 18 years lifespan. It takes years and years to get the DDT PCPs out of their system.
Well, here we have down here the bats here. Within about 5 minutes, I was able to pick up, even lead weights on this fishing line, hook on this fishing line. But this nest is several that I've picked up. And then being in wildlife, this is one of the worst things that you can get on turtles or on any kind of duck. Any shorebird or any bird for that matter, wrapped around their feet. It's certain death if they don't get it off.
Give me a day, oh, in the sun on the Thames. Oh, give me the rain rushing over the river dam. Final matter, all the elements of the follow spring. The streams are where our spirits swim free. The streams are where our spirits swim free. The streams are where our spirits swim free. So won't you meet me down at the London Canoe Club?